Hello, everybody. Oi. Before we begin, I need to issue a very strong disclaimer. I'm not half as interesting as he made me sound in real life, so don't expect anything super. Anyways, welcome. Without much ado, we are going to get right into it. My boss for today tells me that I'm supposed to talk about the Nord keyboards and also some piano stuff. Yes, boss? Okay, sawa. And so we're going to do just that. The Nord keyboards, as I refer to them as the lovely ladies in red, are very special for... Yeah, I need to go to the board first, so after I'll come. They're very special for different reasons. If you look at the front panel, it has like 2 million knobs that look very unfriendly and almost intimidating if you are not familiar with them. But these 2 million knobs are just there so that you don't have to dive into menus and sub-menus and settings. And they're there so that if you need to do anything at any time, the push of a knob or the 1 or 2 button presses gets you everything that you need. So the knobs are there just in order to eliminate this business of going into settings and menus and sub-menus and entering folders and doing things, you know, just to get something very basic like a reverb or a tremolo. Okay. So getting straight into it, the Nord Stage 3, which is their flagship model, is actually a combination of 3 different sound engines. So I'm going to talk first, and then I'll just give you a little diagram on the whiteboard. So it's 3 different sound engines, and what are these 3 different sound engines? You have an organ engine to the extreme left. So on any stage 3 that you're going to encounter, to the extreme left, you have your organ engine. And in the organ engine, you have different things going on. You have all the mainstream organ models that are employed in music as we have it today. You have the B3 organ, you have pipe organs, you have Vox Continentals, you have a Farfisa. All these are different types of organs that appear or have appeared in music for like the past, 50, 60, 70 years. They're all there located in the organ engine. So that's to the extreme left. And in the center of the keyboard, you have the keyboard engine. Or the piano engine. And this piano engine, this keyboard engine houses acoustic pianos, uprights, grands. It has Fender Rhodes, different types. You have clavinets. You have Wurlitzers. Do you know what a Wurlitzer is? No? Yes? I plan to make this session very interactive, so I'm not going to stand here and talk at you. You have to talk back at me as well. Do you know what a Wurlitzer is? Ah, my boss knows what the Wurlitzer is. Okay. It's a really interesting electric piano that has a sound like a Fender Rhodes. We know what the Fender Rhodes sound is, yes? For those of us that are nodding but don't know, I will give you a quick demonstration. That's the sound of the Fender Rhodes. And the Wurlitzer It's like a Fender Rhodes, but it has a bit more color. So that's also a really cool sound that musicians like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder use in their music. So I said we have acoustic pianos, grand pianos, Fender Rhodes, Wurlitzer, clavinet. All these are in the center of the keyboard in the piano engine. Then we go on to the engine that has like the most possibilities and capabilities, the synthesizer engine. And contrary to popular opinion, it's in the synthesizer engine that the Nord Stage 3 really, really comes to life, because you have the possibility of doing so many things. In the synthesizer engine, you can build your own synth sound right from scratch, or you can take a preset that is in the keyboard already and tweak it the way you want. And not only do you have these synthesized sounds, you also have samples. And by samples, I mean real-life instruments that have been recorded and assigned values on the keyboard. So you have your usual strings, guitars, basses, horns, trumpets, saxophones, all of that. And you also have some interesting effects. All this is housed in the synth engine. And so we have the organ engine, the piano engine, and the synth engine. And then to the extreme right of the keyboard, you have some interesting controls. You have effects. Really, really nice studio quality effects that help to really shape your sound and give it identity. For a lot of us that are not heavy into synthesis, we've become very spoiled because we play nice keyboards that have pre-programmed patches, and so we don't really have to care about what the sound is like. I don't want to name any names of any brands and then get sent to jail in Kenya, so I will refrain from doing that. But we've become spoiled in the sense that you just need to press one button and then, oh, yeah, you have a fantastic sounding Rhodes with this effect and that effect and this effect and that effect, and it's cool. This is also good, but if you are a musician that cares about the sound that you produce and you want this sound to be personal and make a statement for yourself, then this is a very good, easy way to do it, because all these controls are right in your face. So, for the Nord Stage 3, organ engine, piano engine, synth engine. Now, it gets even better because the Nord has panels. So all this, the organ, the piano, and the synth, that is on one panel, panel A. What Nord, on the Stage 3, what Nord gives you is the same options, but on a different panel. So what does that mean? It means on panel A, I can have an organ sound, I can have a piano, a keyboard sound, and I can have a synth sound. And then on panel B, I can have the same thing. Select a different organ, select a different piano sound, select a different synthesizer sound, and put them all together to have, you know, a really fat sound without losing any polyphony. Now, this doesn't sound so magnificent until you probably hear it, and I'll stop talking in a bit and go and sit down and do what it is that I think I know how to do best, play. So yes, 3 engines, and before I forget, Nord also gives you the ability to plug in something from a computer or another keyboard and let it function either on panel A or on panel B, on both. And the great thing about this keyboard is that normally, for those of you that are a bit into keyboard technology, if I take, for example, the sounds from another keyboard, maybe a Korg Kronos, for example. Don't shoot me just yet. Hang on. If I want a sound from the Korg Kronos, for example. If I use that as a master and slave it to the Nord, what should happen is that everything that I play on the Korg Kronos should be mirrored here. Yes? For those of us that have a little keyboard technology. But Nord gives you the option of alienating the sound that you are taking from the slave, from the master, and putting it on one of these panels. So if, for example, I have a layer of pianos and strings, and I want something from the other keyboard that I'm not supposed to mention, I can assign it to one of these panels and put it in a specific region so it doesn't have to go across the entirety of the keyboard. And this is fantastic. Because normally when you put MIDI in from something into MIDI out, it's supposed to mirror everything that is on the master. So Nord gives you this option. But now, let's go and check out some of the sounds from the different engines, and then we'll see what's happening. Some of my favorite pianos, and I'll give you the sounds dry with nothing, no effects. So this is the dry Grand Imperial. It's supposed to be a Bosendorfer sample, and to make everything sound nice, anywhere, anytime on the stage, you go for a little reverb. And then you have the simulation of some air. So reverb is always great. And Nord includes two really nice features to make the piano sound really come alive. And this is string resonance. It's labeled here, abbreviated, it's string res. What is string resonance? In an acoustic piano, in the cabinet, you have strings. And when you depress one key or two keys, in the area where the cabinet is, these strings speak to each other. There's resonance, and Nord replicates this resonance. So I've turned on the string resonance now, and I'm going to play a little something. I'm going to turn the string resonance off and the reverb off, and you see the difference. Put them back on. Can you hear the difference? You don't need to lie. It's Saturday morning. We're all friends here. Can you hear the difference? I'll do it again. String resonance and reverb off. String resonance on and reverb on. You hear it? Yeah, and what is that? One button push for string resonance, one button push for reverb. And that's it. No menus, no sub-menus, no folders to dig into. One button push here, another button push there, good to go. And the Stage 3 has a lot of very nice, usable piano samples. Cool. So as you can tell, and these are just what, 4 or 5 of many usable piano patches. I'm going to move on into Fender Rhodes territory. And this is one of my favorites. It's called EP3 Shallow Case. And I'm going first, as usual, I'm going to play it dry with nothing, no effects, nothing. And sorry, that had a tremolo, sorry, my bad. Nothing, no effects. And I'm going to go for some reverb with one button press. So already it has a little more color. So that is just the original sample with one effect, reverb, of so many effects that are available. Just the reverb, but it already sounds nice, and we can make it nicer by turning on the tremolo effect. Tremolo is something that the R&B, neo-soul, gospel musicians use, and it gives you the simulation of some back and forth oscillation in the sound, which you hear now. Yeah? And you have the beauty of the master clock. The master clock synchronizes in time to whatever it is that you are doing, and all you have to do is tap the tempo in. So my tempo is So I tap it in, that says it's 80 beats per minute, and you're bobbing your head. Nice. See, the keyboard is speaking to you. And you also have the option of regulating the note values of the tremolo. Right now, it's on 8th notes, and you can change that to whatever you want. There's so many others, so. And you can also easily regulate the depth of the tremolo, so I can bring it down so that it's not so much in your face. So raise it. And this is just one of many usable samples. I'm going to flip through a few of them so that you hear the different sounds that she's capable of. So that's just a few. And then, yes, let me go to the Wurlitzer that I was talking about. Here it is. Yes, so this is just electric pianos with reverb, and there's like so much more that could be done. We'll get to that in a bit, but I want to show you some other things also. So I'm going to turn off the piano engine, and we'll check out some things in the synth engine. Now what's going on here, it's just two pads from the synth engine. One of them is on panel A. Remember I said you have the option of taking organ, piano, or synth on panel A, and panel B, same. So when you put the two of them together, that means you can have two synthesizers, two keyboard sounds, and two organ sounds. So for this patch, I have two synthesizer sounds. One is the warm pad by itself, and the other is a super saw pad. And what I've done is I've assigned the volume of the super saw pad to the modulation wheel, so that when I turn the wheel up, the volume goes up, and then when I bring it back down, same. But the beauty of this is that the volume will start going up from where it is that you want. It doesn't mean that, okay, I have the knob turned all the way down, so my volume is gone. No. You can set, for example, for the volume knob, the modulation wheel to take effect from maybe 12 o'clock, where the volume is, so that anytime you bring the modulation wheel down, you are not switching the sound off, you are just bringing it back down to halfway. Like, see, it's halfway now, and if I turn the modulation wheel, it's going up, and if I bring it back down, this is very, very useful if you perhaps are playing a tune where the verse needs to be a bit quieter than the chorus. So for the verse, you have your wheel here, and the minute it comes to the chorus, instead of fumbling around with things, you just keep your hands here, raise the volume, and then when it's back down to the verse, you bring it back, and it's very, very, very easy. So I'm going to play the patch in its entirety. So that's one of the patches that I use very often if I need some ambience from the pads. Okay, we've talked about a little bit about all the engines apart from the organ engine. And this is where the trouble begins. Because if you don't want to mess around with presets, I don't like to mess around with presets. I like to use presets as a building block or an educational piece of information that tells me, okay, to get this sound, this is what they do. They keep the attack here, the decay there, the reverb there, they do this, they do that, and okay, I use that as a template to create my own stuff. Fortunately or unfortunately, Nord has crafted the organ engine such that you need to have some organ information in order to exploit the organ engine properly. As to whether this is a good thing or a bad thing is entirely up to you. For me, I'm biased, and so I think it's great. Because before I started dealing with the Nord keyboards about 2 years ago, I also just looked at the drawbars as like, okay, these are nice, interesting looking things to push up or down, but as to what they really do in real time, I was totally clueless. But fortunately, not so much, and I will share with you what it is that I discovered in the last 2 years. So, Are any of us familiar with the concept of overtones? My boss, don't raise your hand. Overtones. Overtones. Are any of us familiar with the concept of overtones? Yes? No? No? Nobody? My new friend in green? No? Okay, this is not bad at all. We will just take it from here. So, very, 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 very simply put, when you hear sounds from your voice, a keyboard, an organ, whatever instrument, what you're hearing, all of us play the piano here? Yes? No? We all play the piano. No, nobody is speaking to me. You want me to stop speaking and go to the back and eat ugali and then enjoy the rest of the day? Yes? No? Come on, people, I need something. Ugali? Okay, ugali after. Piano now. Okay, when you hear a sound, for example, I'm going to play middle C. In my mind, I hear, If you are not high or anything, or drunk, you should be hearing, as well. Yes? Do we agree on this? If you are not high on anything, you should be hearing, yes? Is that what we all hear? Okay, cool. So, this business of overtones simply states that this that we are hearing is the fundamental. Yes? That is the basic unit that you hear, the unit that is in your face. There are other sounds that are being produced that you do not really hear, but they are there. And these are what are known as overtones. And the human voice is is been labeled as one of the richest instruments, if not the richest instrument sonically. Why? Because it generates the most overtones. That's why for those of us that play the keyboard and do arranging and harmony, when you play very ordinary stuff on a keyboard, like for example a C major triad, if you give these same notes to lovely singers to sing a three-part harmony, I believe most of you will agree with me, if not all of you, that the same three-part harmony sung by human beings sounds audibly richer than. Do we agree? If you don't agree, please feel free. This is a democracy. Do we agree that when human beings sing a C major chord, it sounds richer than when you play it on a dry acoustic piano? Yes? Because there's more overtones in the human voice than the keyboard is producing. So now, this business with the drawbars on the organ is just overtones. So you have 9 drawbars. One of them represents the fundamental, and the other drawbars represent overtones. Good. So I'm going to go to the organ section. First, I'm going to play C on the piano. Now I go to the organ engine. These should be drawbars, but they are not physical. So you have the LEDs, and then you pull them, you press the down button to pull them out, and then you press the up button to push them back in. So I'm going for the fundamental. Okay, sorry, I had some transposition going on. Now I'm clean. Okay, so middle C, yeah, and on the organ, the 8th drawbar pulled out, which is the fundamental. You see, it's in the same octave as the piano. Okay, so same. So now what's happening with the other 8 drawbars is that they are just representing different overtones. That's why you have the sound of the organ being very rich, and then you have the expression in English pulling out all the stops. So we're going to pull out different drawbars and see what happens. Did you hear there's another layer, an octave below? Yes? I do it again. Uh-oh. Now an octave above. Can you hear the differences? Yet another octave. So by just depressing one key, I have the fundamental and different overtones, and the level on the keyboard will determine how loud the overtones are. So let me put some of these in a bit. So what you actually have is nine drawbars that are creating different sounds for you to choose from. So now what I'm going to do is have some popular organ settings, and you check out the different sounds. This is the jazz organ sound with the first 4 drawbars pulled out. And then another thing that Nord was kind enough to do was to use the Leslie speaker that traditionally the electric organs, the jazz organs, come with. And this speaker gives sound that feels like it's turning around and round and round. And I'm going to put it on now. I'm turning it off, putting it on. And so this is the popular jazz organ setting. You have settings for organ bass with the first drawbar and the third drawbar pull up. Then you have all the stops out. So that has all the stops out. And you also have effects that are separate from the master effects. Nord has been kind enough to give you organ effects. So we're going to try a few of them out and see. And all these different effects help to shape the sound. You can also turn percussion on. Yet more effects. And this is just one of the organ models in the organ section. That's the Hammond B3. You have others. The pipe organs. So the organ engine is a beast on its own. And you also have, for live settings on the organ, in the organ engine, you have the option of using a preset. So I have perhaps this jazz organ sound as my first sound. If I hit the preset button, I can save different settings so that in the same sound, I don't need to push things and do things. I just press one button. And I'm back to my old setting. Yeah. So the organ engine has a lot of depth. Now, I'm going to demonstrate a few patches that I created. And we'll see. This is just an electric piano with a small speaker simulation. And the speaker simulations are found in the effects section of the Nord on the extreme right of the keyboard. And then they mimic the effect of you routing your instrument through a particular kind of speaker. In this case, it's the small speaker, so the sound, it sounds as if it's far away because a lot of the low frequencies have been cut and it's supposed to mimic a tiny speaker. So you have this sound. If I go back to my normal piano without the small speaker simulation, I have... You hear the difference? You should hear the difference. Back to the thin piano. So something like this I use sometimes at the beginning of an intro, at the beginning of a song as an intro to create a certain vibe, and then when the main song starts, I go back to the regular piano. Or in between, I have a song that I'm writing that has a section that goes something like this. And I'm back in the main part. So it gives you different textures and different vibes. I'll try that again. Normally, these things would be done on a recording by an engineer after you've done, you know, the tracking, but you can do this yourself, live on stage. And as you saw, I just pushed one button, and it was good to go. So that's one patch. I'll take you to another one. And this is for one of my, I've played this song with, I don't know if any of you were around for Afrolect, the festival that was held sometime in September last year. Were any of you there? No? But I performed a song of mine that I'm working on and hope to record sometime this year. But I had to perform it dry because I didn't have a Nord stage, and so I just used very generic sounds, and it's called the Urban Safari, and it combines Afrobeat with some jazz notes and harmonies. But I have a very interesting patch that I use in the beginning. And what I would do in the absence of my lovely Nord Stage 3 is just to play pad sounds that sound something like... So I'm going for a pad sound, but I need this pad sound to do and say so many things. So I'm going to deconstruct it, and then I'll put the result together for you. So on panel A, what do I have going on? I have an electric piano, the Fender Rhodes, that has a vibe effect and a reverb. I'm going to take the effects off and the reverb off and give you the raw sound, which is... I'm going to put put the reverb on, and I'm going to put the vibe effect on, which is... Can you feel we're getting somewhere? One button, vibe effect off, vibe effect on. And most importantly, no menus, no sub-menus, no settings, no folders. Everything is right there in your face. You can tweak on the spot. You don't need to spend so much time. It's right there. You turn on the effects, it's there. This is the amount. Can they see my hands? Yeah, this is the amount, and this is the rate. And a really great feature is the monitor button. If I depress the monitor button and I push the amount knob, it tells me where the level is at. If I push the rate knob, it does same, without influencing the value. So this is really great if you want to see what's happening without changing anything. Okay, so now let's get back to business before I get distracted. So, okay, cool. The next sound on panel A was a synth sound, and I have what is called the crisp pad, and the volume is there. There's no effects. It just has the whole reverb, so which is... If I put that together with the piano from before, we have... And all this is just on panel A. I'm going to go to panel B now. And on panel B, I have another electronic piano and another synthesizer sound. Let's go with the piano first and see what is going on. I have auto wah effects on the piano. I have a flanger on the piano. And I have a reverb. I'm going to switch all of them off so that you hear the basic sound. Very dry, very uninspiring, very boring. But with the reverb, one button push, huh? Now, with the flanger and the auto wah, so I'm going to switch that off and go to the pad. And the pad is a warm pad 2 that has been routed through a small speaker. I'm going to turn the small speaker and the reverb off so that you hear the sound dry. That's it. Reverb back on. And the small speaker simulation. You see, it has cut a lot of the low end off. So I'm going to put everything on panel B back on, and you have... So this is panel B, and what I had on panel A was... When I put the two of them together, I have... So it's very easy to get, a nice sound. Let me go to something else. Yes, this is a nice lead that I use. It's a combination of 2 leads. So I have the acid bass line on one. And here what I've done is that, do we all know what aftertouch is? Aftertouch. Aftertouch is when some keyboards have it, others don't. Thankfully, my lovely lady in red has aftertouch. Yay. If you depress the key and then push further in, you have something else happening. And in a lot of synth sounds, this something else is probably a vibrato, or when the filter is opened up and then the sound becomes louder and more shrill. But what I did with my synth sound here was to assign the aftertouch to delay. So if I do... it's flat. But if I do this and depress again, then there's a delay. See? So with the aftertouch, you have some nice delay. So that's what is going on with this one. And of course, reverb and some chorus to make it sound nice. With the effects off, this is what we have. Which is also nice. Yeah. Put the effects back on one by one. Okay, so that covers the synth side. Then I put the clavinet on, which is an electric piano. And this also has a nice amount of effects on it. Put the two of them together. You look happy. You look happy. Yes, and the beauty of this is that these are just using the synth engine on panel A and panel B. If I didn't have access to yet another keyboard and I wanted to accompany myself quickly with a Fender Rhodes sound or a piano sound, I could still do that. And to demonstrate to you how easy that is, I'm going to do it right now. So on panel, they can still see my hands, yes? So I'm going to put that piano on panel B. So what that means is that I need to set up a split because I just want the Fender Rhodes here, down low. So I need to set up a split. So I'm going to hit the split button. And another nice thing with the Nord is that all the split points have lights. So by just looking down at the lights, you can see where the split is. So I want my split here. So what do? I hold the split function and turn the knob and put it here. It's at C3, off. So now, if you can see where my hand is, sorry, you can see that all the green lights are illuminated. Yes? You see it? My boss, do you see it? Okay. All the lights illuminated simply means in the Nord world that the sound is across the entire range of the keyboard. So we have to change that because we've created a split point and I want my Fender Rhodes sound here. So what I'm going to do is hold Shift and press this button. Now you have only two lights illuminated, meaning it's in the lower part of the split. We don't want that. We want the lead on the right part. So now it's there. It's relegated to the upper section of the keyboard. I'm going to do that for the other lead as well. Hold Shift, and so now the synth leads are all here, and there's nothing in the lower range. You have the synth leads here. Okay, cool. And I said I wanted to put my Fender Rhodes here. So what I'm going to do is activate the keyboard engine, and it has 4 lights illuminated, which is not good because I don't want the Fender Rhodes everywhere. I just want it in the lower end of the keyboard. So what am I going to do? I'm going to hold Shift again, depress this until I get the 2 lower lights, So the Fender Rhodes is here. But it's too low. And how do we solve that? You have the octave shift buttons that are conveniently put, so you don't need to enter any menus and do any tweaking. No, it's right here. So we go up 1 octave, 2 octaves. I think it's a decent range, and it sounds dry, so I want to put a tremolo on it so that it feels a bit more electronic. So now I have this as a background. And as you can tell, I haven't lost anything from the synths. All the polyphony is there, all the expression, all the effects, they're still there. I've just put a Fender Rhodes on the bottom. And you can do this on the fly. And it's really great. So that's another patch. And I want to take you to something that I'm working on for one of my new songs that uses an arpeggiator. There we go. So once again, I have panel A and panel B active. On panel A, I have a grand piano and a warm pad, and the grand piano is just low here. So I have the piano down low, and then I have a nice warm pad. And in order to make the piano cut through the mix because the pads can be very muddy, and in order to make the piano stand out in this mix, I put the small speaker on, so that it cuts the lows and makes it bright and stand out. And so, as opposed to, here, this has more bites, so. Okay, so this is the foundation. Now I go to panel B, and what do I have? I have a synthesizer sound, which without the arpeggiator on, this is the sound. I'm getting some extra mileage out of it because I have the small speaker on yet again. The small speaker is my really good friend. I have the small speaker on, and I have reverb. If I take them out, you have this. You hear the reverb and the small speaker. Now when I turn the arpeggiator on, I have. And the arpeggiator has many different features. You can get it to run down, or go up and down, or be randomized. I want it randomized because I'm going to play some chords. And when I play the chords with the randomized arpeggiator, you have this. Arpeggiator on its own is nice, but it's missing the foundation. So when I put the foundation back on, which is the pad and the low keyboard, the piano you have. in my not so humble opinion, this sounds great, but it's just 3 sounds. And I'll deconstruct again. Low piano, warm pad, all together. And then the synth sound with arpeggiator. So when I put them all together, so that with just 3 sounds and like virtually no loss of polyphony, you have something really hip going on. And I even added something else, I believe. Yes, on the panel B, the one that has this arpeggiator, I added another keyboard, which is... Now I put everything together, I have... This now, to go away from Nord a little bit and to talk about general keyboard technology, one way you can get a lot of mileage out of your board is to exploit EQ and also range. Check this, the pad is in this register. Yes, in the middle of the keyboard, but the Rhodes, I transposed up an octave. So you have... See? So if I play just the Rhodes and the pad, I have... So that you have a wider sound. And the arpeggiator, I set it to 2 octaves, so it's going up 2 octaves, and it's coming down 2 octaves. Sorry, it's going up 2 octaves, and it's coming down 2 octaves. So... So then you're getting a lot of width. And also to make things interesting in the stereo field. By stereo field, I mean, you know, left, right. Yes? Are you with me still? Okay. Left, right. You can create some interest by separating stuff and panning yourself. Because when everything is in the center, sometimes it can become muddy. And this is usually the job of a mix engineer, but Nord gives you this ability to put your stuff in the stereo field very, very easily. So then you can have things hard left, hard right, or halfway there, halfway here. And this is also cool. They are, you know, really, really small details, but in all great forms of music, irrespective of genre, the sound is in the detail. It doesn't matter what genre. I play different styles of music. For a lot of people that don't know me think I'm a jazz head, which I am, truly. But before jazz, there were so many other things for me. There was classical music, there was reggae, there was pop, there was R&B, later neo-soul. So I like all these forms of music, and so I study the things associated with these forms of music. And I've also been very fortunate to play with a lot of different musicians across these different styles. So that also helps. So, yeah, this is a cool patch that I'm working on. Let me see if I can find another. Yes, and just last night, I realized that I would be performing later this evening without my home band. And so I'd have to be clever and structure things so that I could still get a good output. So with this patch, I want to retain the ability to play some melodic lines in the right hand while still maintaining the background. So yesterday, what I did was create a new patch. not from scratch. I just copy, yes, and Node gives you the ability, just like a computer, to copy and paste. So if you have things on panel A that you like, or you want to use as a template and you don't want to recreate them from scratch, you just go and copy them and then paste them wherever you want. Just as simple as that. 2 buttons, copy, 2 buttons, paste, good, done. So I did that, and I created a new split point. I hope I did. Yes, I did. I created a split point. So I have the arpeggiator running. So that's just with the left hand in the lower split. And in the upper split, I have the piano. And I shifted the octave so that it doesn't sound so high and blah in your face. It's still low where it's nice and resonant. So yes, that gives me the ability to still play my keyboard lines in my right hand, but maintain the arpeggiator and the pad and all those nice things in the left. This is an organ split that I created, so I have my organ sound, my bass organ sound in the left hand on panel A. And in my right hand, I have a regular organ sound that is not so bass. So that's a cool split. Let's see what else I have. Yes, for those of us that like to play strings, but you want to recreate the sound with some width, another trick that I use is to layer 2 string patches together and split the octaves so that I don't have to play them myself and risk making silly mistakes. That's the first patch. The second patch is an octave above, so when I put the 2 of them together, and all this is just in the synth engine, so if you still need something from the keyboard or the organ engine, you're free to do that. So that's a cool thing to do. Yes, and another cool thing. Remember when we talked about the organ, I said that you can activate the Leslie speaker, which gives it the circular motion, which is, see? What you're allowed to do on the stage 3 is to activate the speaker and put it on other sounds. So check this Fender Rhodes that I have with no effects whatsoever, and I have ish. Yeah? Reverb. Delay. Yeah? This is something that I learned from the neo soul and the gospel peeps. They put a little reverb, so you just have one hit, and it's not very in your face. It's like just see. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that is there. Then I have a little chorus on it. Then I have a tremolo as well. And then finally, the organ Leslie, which is. So that's another cool thing that Nord allows you to do. These are two fall-away horns that I layered to get some depth. That's one. That's another one. They're slightly different, but if you put them together, you have something really nice. And that sounds guitarish, but it's actually no guitar. It's just, it's a Fender Rhodes with effects. That's all that it is. So I'm going to take some time now to talk about pianistic stuff. We've spoken a bit about this. We've spoken a bit about the stage, and we're going to look at some pianistic stuff now. So, what are we doing when we're playing the piano? Are we figuring everything out exclusively by ear, or do we have some systems? What is it that we are doing? This is not a rhetorical question. I'm expecting answers. What are we doing? Yes? You want to speak to me? Tell me, what are we doing when we're playing? Are we figuring everything out by ear? Do we use sheets, or do we have some visual representations of what we are playing? You're playing by ear, exclusively. So you must have really big ears now. Okay, sawa. Anybody else? My new friend, you look like you also want to speak to me. Tell me something. What happens when you're playing? Are you playing exclusively by ear? Do you read? Do you picture things? Don't be, I'm not asking you out on a date. It's a piano question. Tell me. You. Yes. By ear. Okay. Playing by ear is great. It's a good tool to have. But if you want to grow and not be stuck where you are, it shouldn't be your only tool. You should develop some music literacy, because it helps when you have a visual idea, representation of what it is that you want to do. If you rely solely on your ears, you are limiting yourself very greatly, because most of the people that I was fortunate enough to study with and take lessons and also read books and stuff, there's basically two ways of playing the piano or any instrument whatsoever. There's shape and there's phase. What is shape? It's an acronym. Shape is see, hear, and play expressively. As opposed to phase. And what is phase? Phase is play first, hear, and then see error. We don't want that. So it's always good to have some kind of plan. And no, I'm not asking you to become a classical virtuoso and read 500 million notes in one bar in 2 seconds, no. But a little music literacy goes a long way. Like, you need to know your intervals. It's very boring and like stupidly annoying in the beginning. But if you know the names of the intervals and you can generate a visual map, then it's easier for you to chase things down on the keyboard. If I do, with my knowledge of intervals, that was in C. Call any key at random. Any key. Don't say F sharp. No, I'm joking. You can say F sharp. E flat. This becomes easier because of my knowledge of intervals. I know that is a fifth, is a sixth, is a minor third. If you know your intervals, then it's the same as, it's the same as, it's the same as. They represent the same sound. They just have different starting points. So then you learn to disrespect keys. If you don't study intervals, keys become, the ruling party in your life. And you're playing nicely in F, and it's okay, sir, well, my voice, I ate some crab and ugali this morning, so my voice isn't in F. And so can we try it in E flat, and then all of a sudden your career has come to an end? This should not be the case. So for your music literacy, intervals is the very beginning. After intervals, the next step should be modes. And what are modes? They sound fancy. They have these funny names: Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, blah, 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 la, la, la. That is irrelevant. What is relevant is the sound and how it works. And for the chord scale theory, modes are very, very simple. They just state that when you play C major 7, these are the available notes. When you play F minor 7, when you play F minor 7 flat 6, this is not the be-all and the end-all. It is just telling you what notes are available and those that are not. So when you know what notes are available, then you can start having fun. Then you learn little harmonies starting from the very beginning. 2-note harmony, 3-note harmony, 4-note harmonies. And then you expand. But the building block is intervals. I'm running out of time, so I need to wrap up very quickly. So intervals, modes, and also harmonies represent different things. Major, minor, dominant, they are not just fanciful names for playing around with. They evoke different responses from the listener. If I do, this is major, so it sounds bright and, happy. And if I do, this has lost the brightness and the happiness. It's something minor. So you have to know all these things, and when you're writing your music or performing it, you do it accordingly. I'm going to wrap up very quickly. The next important thing, after you have the basic building blocks out of the way, is your hands. Your hands. You need good hands to play nice music. Doesn't matter if you are playing or if you are playing. It doesn't matter if you're playing that or if you are playing. You need good hands. And by good hands, what do I mean? You need to have your hands in a nice position that facilitates your playing the keyboard. This is not a good position. This is a better position because you have your elbows above the board and you have gravity working, not gravity band and gravity. You have gravity working in your favor. Yes? And your hand positions. For the most part, a claw will get you through everything you need because it gives you more control and less tension. If you are playing like this, I already feel pain. But if you are like this, you have more control over the keys and your fingers they work like hammers, you see. Keep your hands as close to the board as possible, so that when you have to make a movement, it can be fluid and not choppy, because articulation is everything, articulation, you work on dynamics. Can you play things soft? Can you play them somehow loud? Can you play them very loud? So you have to work on all of that. As opposed to, are you playing staccato? Are you playing legato? Or, as opposed to, because these are the things that speak to people that are listening to your music. So the notes to play is just half of it, but the articulation, how you are playing these notes, so you should always aim for accuracy and good expression and not speed. Speed is just a little tool that seems interesting for a short while. It's accuracy. You see? The articulation is very important. If I do, it's different from. I think I'm at the end of my time now, so I'm going to welcome some questions, which hopefully I can answer. So questions. Don't ask me about my personal life. I will lie. Piano-related questions. Or Nord-related questions. Yes?
How long does it take to master or to gain the hearing skills in the intervals?
That is, it's very relative to whoever it is in question. If you're investing a lot of time and you have some aptitude, it can take you a few weeks, a few months. If you're not investing a lot of time and the aptitude is low, then obviously it's going to take you more time. But it's up to you. The more effort you put in it with the right methodology, the better your chances of success are. So I cannot give you a timeline. No.
Can you please play a familiar song with your own style of playing so that we can at least get your own interpretation of it, please?
Come to my gig this evening. Come to the Collective at 7:30. I'll be playing some familiar songs. Cool?
My question is on the small speakers button. When you press it, does it apply on all the voices, or you select only the voices that you need to pass through that small speaker?
Yes, you have the option of choosing which sound you want the small speaker to be routed, the sound to be routed through. So if it's only the organ engine, then you put it on the organ engine for that panel. Yeah. So if it's a synth, if it's piano, yeah, you have the option. It's not global. It doesn't apply to all the settings, no.
So we'll take maybe one more question, if there's any.
We appreciate. What are the notable differences and technical differences between the Nord Piano 4, which is alongside you, and the Nord Stage 3?
Okay, cool. The Nord Stage 3 is the flagship, so it has everything. It's a combination of the engine, the Nord piano engine, the Nord organ engine, and the Nord synthesizer engine from the Nord lead A1. With the Piano 4, you're not getting all of that. What you are getting is a more pianistic action. The action on the Piano 4 is heavier than the action on the Stage 3, because the Stage 3 is supposed to be geared towards piano players, organists, and the synth players. So if it's too heavy, that eliminates the organists and the synth players. And if it's too light also, it takes the piano players out of the equation. So you have heavier action on the Piano 4. You do not have an organ engine on the Piano 4. You have a piano engine, and then you have a synth engine with samples and some synthesized sound. So these are the main differences. So this is like the flagship model that is for everybody. And this is for the people that that have like a more pianistic vibe, that they want maybe piano with strings or piano with a pad, you know, things good for like church settings. Yeah, or if it's your go-to keyboard for your piano and Fender Rhodes sounds and maybe a pad of some strings, yeah, this is it. But the stage 3 does everything. I hope I've answered your question.
So I'll give it up for Victor Day Jr.